Welcome to the Hoard's Dairyman podcast, your source for trusted, science-based information you can use in your dairy. Today's podcast is hosted by the managing editor at Hoard's Dairyman, Kylene Anderson. Our guest for today's show is Dan Siemers of Siemers Holsteins in Newton, Wisconsin. This podcast is sponsored by Select Sires.
A healthy herd drives profitability. Select Sire's Herd Health Profit Dollars Index is the most comprehensive and measurable economic index in the industry. Created for farmers by farmers, HHP prioritizes the traits that make the greatest impact, boost mastitis resistance, lower the incidence of other health challenges, and breed long-lasting cows that improve cash flow. To learn more, visit selectsires.com/longevity. At Select Sires, your success is our passion.
Today, we welcome a member of the family of the operation that has been named the 2025 National Dairy Shrine Distinguished Cattle Breeder, a dairy that has over 8,000 cows on tests and maintains an impressive rolling herd average of nearly 34,000 pounds. They have a genetic program that is equally impressive. With more than 35 bulls in AI, with the Siemers prefix, they have bred 1,300 excellent cows and are the only herd to have bred 3 International Global Cow of the Year winners. Dan Siemers joins the conversation today from Siemers Holstein, a name known in genetic circles, and a dairy that has been recognized for their progressive facilities and innovative use of reproductive technologies. Dan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Kylene. Thanks for having me.
So, would you mind giving us a bit about your background and the overall farm operation?
Sure. My immigrants were from Germany. We established in 1890, and I'm fifth generation. And we currently, I of my team would currently be the old guy. So we have a younger generation that's coming on. That would be the sixth generation. So all things considered, it's pretty sick. There's not a lot of businesses out there other than farming that we have these massive successive generations that make it work. Most businesses by the third generation, somebody has didn't take it seriously or whatever. In this business especially, I don't know if it's much more nowadays than what it's been in the past, but you have to be so good at so many things. It's almost a miracle nowadays that we can talk about fifth, sixth, seventh generation farms, because let's face it, it's not an easy business.
That's very, very true.
Yeah, and thanks for the nice intro. Yeah, we built a new dairy here a couple years back. We started milking in December of 23 in a new rotary and a new tunnel ventilated barn back there, and we're just finishing up renovating our older facilities here. And somewhere in the meantime there, we also put in digesters and a gas plant. We're injecting gas, and we're doing all kinds of fun stuff. So, yeah, lots of changes here at Siemers Holsteins.
So can you walk us through kind of your road from the first generation to milking 8,000 cows today?
Well, it's a few years back, we had a fire. We lost our original barn at the farm that I grew up on that we used for so many different things. But there was a barn way in the back that had 8 stalls in it. That was our original piece of the barn that we would, once upon a time, generation 1 would start milking cows in. And I believe that back in the day, from the stories I'm told, that we had Ayrshires. So somewhere along the line, and I believe it was somewhere along the line, we had way back when we had the wife who lost the husband, but had made some really great changes, like switching the Holsteins and tiling the land and doing a bunch of really great things once upon a time. So, and that's another thing that we take for granted in our business is that all the work that our forefathers put in to make everything work. Like sometimes when we live in a part of the world that we couldn't farm our land if it wasn't tiled, and you'll hit an old clay tile and you'll be like, oh, look at we hit this tile, and you have to think about all the work. Everybody shoveled or did so much of that work by hand once upon a time to put that in, and for all these years it's worked and we've used it, and we just take all that for granted. I think all the effort and work that went in, all these prior generations that made today work. And I'm like, I wonder someday if our family is lucky enough to keep this all going, will they look back and say, yeah, I don't know, that Dan and Paul, I'm not sure that generation, now granted, we've been successful, but every generation's got to pull its weight to keep these family businesses going.
Yeah, that's really, really true. That think of all the work that was put in for many years, and I mean, in your case, hundreds of years of
Yeah,
generations.
and even back to, I'm not a super young man anymore, but I think back to when I was a kid, cows that went excellent, and how many of those that we had, and how much different that they were than today's excellent cows. And just from a standpoint of how much progress that we've made both in farming and cows and genetics and all of it, it's really striking when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. So, can you walk us kind of through the structure of where you are today? And you mentioned Paul. Can you tell us a bit about
Oh, sure.
how your family runs
So
the business?
yeah, so the business is currently owned by my brother Paul and myself. We're the fifth generation, and we're starting to move that or have discussions about moving that to the sixth. And also my wife Janina, she runs our office, and basically everything that no one else really wants, she does a lot. She has a very full schedule, and then my the next generation, I have a son, Jordan, who also is a sire analyst for Select Sires, and my nephews are Josh and Jake. And Josh is integral in our shop and our digester, and Jake is our feed manager. So also Tyler Schaefer is also much a part of our next generation. He's our dairy manager. He does a really good job of that. So that's kind of our little team. We have a ton of really good, dedicated, great employees because you can't do any of this without them. I think we have 96 team members. I think that we're up to now, but lots of great dedicated people.
Wow, 96 team members.
96.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to touch on that in a minute, but I do want to talk more about genetics and all the things I mentioned in the introduction. And your farm slogan is genetics for cow people. Tell me what that means to you and what that means to, well, maybe to you and your brother, if you want to speak for him. And maybe you've had this discussion. What does that mean for the next generation on the farm, too?
Genetics for cow people was something that after genomics came out, I take credit for this one. This is my slogan, right? This is I thought of this, and the reason I came up with this was, and there still is a huge difference in our business today. There is a difference between genetics in which they have good sire stacks. The dam and the grand dam and the great grand dam are classified. Have DHIA records available. Have the kind of effort that goes into all of that really makes a difference as far as when I'm looking at for bulls to use and I'm thinking which cow families or the ones that I really want to hook my wagon to. I like all that extra information. And so when I thought about what we do here, I'm like, when we sell genetics, when we're behind because everybody's got to stand behind what they make and they sell and put out into the industry. We're going to do our best to bring as much information and fill those pedigrees in and represent those cattle as fairly and honestly as what we possibly can. So that means, doing all those things, taking pictures, letting international tours see the dams of all these cows. We just put out a press release today on our most recent classification, and I'm always taken back how many of our bulls that we sell, and by the way, there's a lot. There's a lot more than the 36. I can't even, we sell a lot of stuff, and I'm not trying to, it's been a continual effort by everyone going into it, but I'm struck by how many of those bulls have excellent dams, or the young ones that have very good 2-year-old dams that might turn into excellent dams. And that's just not very common in today's world anymore, that you have the kind of genetics that'll make the cows that most dairymen want. And I'm not saying that all dairymen need excellent cows. What I'm saying is that they, at the end of the day, everybody wants a really good, solid, complete cow. And if they come from the right kind of cow families and they're trusting, it's always humbling to me when dairymen trust in our genetics and what it is that we're doing, because we're dairymen first and foremost, and we do genetics second. And we want to make the right kind both for ourselves and for our friends and neighbors and everybody who buys our genetics.
That's a great segue into a question I have for you that has been on my mind as more of a bigger picture question. So you guys have 8,000 cows on test, which is incredible. And I think we're at a bit of a crossroads in our industry, that there's more and more technology available, more and more data available. And the amount of genetic progress that we've made in the Holstein breed in the last, 15 years, 2 decades is, thanks to genomics and both genotypic and phenotypic data. So I was
Yes.
well trained by geneticists in my previous
Yes.
line of work. And you talk about the value of what the genetics mean. What do you think that the value proposition is for the whole industry and other commercial herds to be a part of the data system, to feed into the data system, to be a part of genetic improvement, to
Well,
continue that?
I think it's huge. I mean, ever since the dawn of genomics, so we do most of our work with Selects and some with CMEX, and those are kind of the organizations that we do the majority of our work with. And the how good the bulls are nowadays, that we call it making the bus, meaning that they get picked up and they get sampled by either of those studs, is just tremendous. You really anymore, in a lot of ways, can't go too wrong when you're using the right organizations and the right kind of bulls. But we've never been able to make the kind of progress on nowadays, just all the things that you would never have dreamt that you could have made progress on. Mastitis resistance, fertility, as far as DPR or CCR, whatever it is that you index that you like. There's just so many things that are getting more accurate all the time. This isn't a plug necessarily for Zoetis, but Zoetis has done a lot for our business. You look at the mastitis and lameness and all the different things that they measure, and calf wellness, all the things nowadays that we think about. It's just tremendous. There's just so much information that's really unprecedentedly reliable and good. We think oftentimes, well, that health trait stuff, that really isn't that reliable, or that we can quartile it. Now, we have a larger herd, but it's amazing when we look at mastitis and then mastitis resistant bulls, or bulls that are good on mastitis, and we look at their daughters, how much less that those cows go to the hospital or for mastitis or whatever, or for cell count, how accurate that cell count is. There's just so many things that once upon a time I'd have never dreamt, when I was selling semen for Sire Power as my first out of college job, that we'd be able to do nowadays. Good bulls once upon a time. I think back to bulls that were number one TPI bulls once upon a time, and in today's world they'd be garbage. They would not even be considered good bulls, because they didn't have any health traits or cell count information, and a lot of cows without good quality udders that were on that list. So I'm often struck. Yeah, we've made so much progress in so many areas. It's hard to even think through where we've been and where we are today and where we're going.
So what, for your herd specifically, what do you think have been the biggest reproductive and genetic strategies that have made the biggest impact for you?
Well, on strategies, you mean like getting cows pregnant, like double ovsync or that kind of thing,
Yeah,
or
are
in,
you guys
or yeah.
IVFing?
Everybody has a program. We have programs here too, and we put a lot of embryos into cows and heifers. So that for us, we probably run a little bit different system than what a lot of dairies would, just based on that. Making pregnancies is vital on any dairy. But here, I mean, when you're putting eggs in, you really want to maximize that potential. But in general, genetic strategy, as far as making good ones are concerned, we try, and this is going to sound to people out there that are in the genetics business, it's tough, because you have to make cattle that are high enough that makes them valuable, but yet pedigree, a good enough pedigree, and unique enough sire stack to make them interesting enough to want to actually use. Right? There's in our business, there is a difference between what's high and what a person wants to use, and that's a fun little difference, but one that we're very interested in, because at the end of the day, we want to help our partners sell semen. We want to help make our the people that want to buy our semen want to buy it and buy more of it, because it's the right kind of bulls that they enjoy using. So for us, we just try making more of what we like, because we think that that's what a lot of dairymen are going to like.
So obviously, you're doing a lot of very specific matings and planned out. I mean, you're thinking way down the road on your mating planning, but on maybe some of the middle of the road cows in the herd, or the more the commercial cows, how do you handle inbreeding on a dairy of your size?
All right. Well, this is going to be a little controversial, but then again, I'm not afraid of it. I we okay. I don't like inbreeding when it's obvious or a person's really thinking about it. But I'll say this: because I've been at this for more than the last few years, I think a lot of making good cattle also means combining genetics that make the right kind of cattle, and that sometimes means more inbreeding than what some people are comfortable with. So because it's already taken into effect in the formulas, I sometimes the best mating has some inbreeding in it. And that's okay if you don't. Not all of our matings are like that, but we certainly make some of them that are like that. So and lately our best cow families really work well back on themselves, like our Hanker family on our Pears family, or vice versa, and recently the AOT Deluxe cow family. They're really crossing well on each other, so that's not inbreeding. But sometimes the best cross has got some inbreeding to it. So we're not totally. We understand that inbreeding has got its pitfalls and some areas that you might want to protect yourself on. But I also know some of the best cattle that have ever been made in this in the cow world are inbred. So there's two sides to that coin.
Yeah, and then I guess bigger picture, how do you manage individual matings? I'm just thinking of kind of back to your team. How do you structure? If you can kind of walk through the
Hmm.
audience, how do you what's it look like when you have a pen to breed that day? What is your employee? What are the instructions on individual bulls for them to be mating?
Well, I still buy all the semen. I inventory it, and we have canisters or spots for different bulls and what it is that we're using. So most everything, certainly on the IVF standpoint, Jordan is handling that. I handle the majority of the rest of the matings, and then stuff that just repeats during the week. I just keep good bulls in the tank, like a repeat bull or whatever sex bulls that are going to make sense right now in the herd, and mostly are going to work. So as you get, until recently, all those would have come up, and I would have spent a little bit of time on those daily. Now all the first services will figure out who's getting an embryo, who's going to get bred, and of the ones that are going to get bred to what. But then after that, once we get into repeats and everything, then they kind of flow into a system, and then it's basically up to me to make sure that I have good bulls in the tank for overall usage. The best cows are still gonna. So Tyler would manage a lot of that. He knows who the best cows or the cows are there, and he'll know because of which bulls. We don't have a ton of bulls in the tank, but the ones that are in there are good, and we'll have we're not going to go too wrong no matter which ones that we're using. So it's kind of and so Paul actually handles some stuff on the heifer still, and he figures out which cows are recipients. I do the mating and buy the semen. Jordan handles the IVF. Tyler handles the rebreeds or whatever. So we have a little team of us that kind of all work at this, but we all kind of know what's here and we're all kind of on the same page. And Jordan and I, we have, I'd say every couple of weeks we'll compare notes on which bulls that we're using and what we like. And it's amazing how many times that those are the same. And and if they're not, that's okay too. As when you run the IVF program, you got to swing for the fence. And there's no doubt that that's just part of the deal. You have to take a few more risks. My job in the general herd is to make sure that the next generation of cows is really good. And there's some high ones that come from general population too, but for the most part, everybody's got their job, and it's all about advancing no matter what it is that we're breeding, whether it's a recipient, a commercial cow, or a high one. They all have to be better than what they were before, or we have to keep moving things forward.
Yeah, that's really, you guys really work as a team based off of what you're saying there. You have to, and you have to be in lockstep on what you're doing. Without a doubt, everybody's talking about the price of the black beef cross calves. And you guys are in a unique situation where you have an extreme group of high genetic cows that you're marketing and, working and pushing them ahead. How do you decide where's the cutoff on who gets beef semen? Because, the value of those calves is just incredible and doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, so we don't make a ton of beef calves. I say that, and we certainly make some. We, as part of our growth, we bought a nice herd, a nice heifer herd at the time. Now they're all milking, but we bought a group of F1s. And F1s are great for a lot of things, but no one wants to make F2s. So part of that is if they don't work out as a recipient, and we're not being able to make them pregnant with an embryo, that's certainly those F1s will get bred to a beef bull. And then probably just anything else that we want to, nowadays, cows, keeping them in their herd or whatever, if you just don't want a heifer calf out of them and they're either too old or too many services in to be a recipient, that's where your beef semen comes in. So I know there's a lot of herds out there making more beef calves than we are. We make some, but and generally we're kind of either in growth mode or thinking about how that we can help out. We've got some friends of ours that are trying to grow right now, and if we have a few extra fresh heifers or whatever, we can sell those. And along the way, if they can be recipients as heifers, so much the better.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You have a lot of recipients. You have to have a lot of recipients too. So it's a good point that you don't.
Yeah, one of the reasons, Kylene, that we built the new dairy is for more uteruses. And there was other reasons too. We had to depopulate the old dairy. We were interested in redoing our old parallel parlor as well as putting in sort gates and really moving our herd to the next level. But sometimes that takes an expansion so you have room to be able to do some things.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And you guys are in a unique situation for that. That's really great. It's kind of on the unique situation. You have your farm and the team have won numerous Holstein awards annually and continue to do so. What do you think the Holstein of the future needs to look like and to do to meet the needs of the U.S. and global milk markets?
Well, I think that's a really good question, and I think it's one that we're often at odds in the commercial world with the show ring, right? Mm-hmm. Show ring, they still have to be taller. That trend is reversing, and way more dairy than what a commercial dairyman appreciates cows. And I'll say that nowadays we have data to tell us who the cows that perform are and can really produce and whatever. They don't have to be so thin. And plus, in a world of which right now most dairymen are making a lot of their money on the meat side of the market, whether that's cull cows or calves, cows that carry extra weight and cows that are efficient with feed are two of the things that I think the business really needs. And from a phenotypic standpoint, just the right kind of cookie cutter cow that just never gets herself into trouble, always can carry a few pounds, always doesn't need a lot of extra anything. And the cow that it's been well discussed, the cow that hardly has any events on dairy count, that just keeps rolling year after year and doesn't need much. We love those cows, and we try making bulls that are going to make those cows and those kind of genetics too. So when we talk about the cow of the future, she's going to make huge components because our systems now have that bred in. And I think we probably overdid it a little bit on fat as an industry. I think right now everybody, at least in the genetic world, is probably breeding for a little bit more milk and a little bit more protein percent. Because there's just so much the milk that goes into cheese, and selling all that cream, there's only so many butter makers in different various areas that can use that all. So we have some things that and feed efficient is also key. So feed efficient cows that make the kind of production that we're going to need in the future, and just can do it year after year, because with this small heifer inventory that we have nationally, we just need our herd to last longer. And generally, I think people are really getting that done because as a number of culls has gone down in the industry, the amount of cows in the milking dairy herd have gone up. So we're accomplishing two things there at once that most people wouldn't think were super possible. But we're as the industry culls fewer cows, the dairy herd has gotten bigger with a smaller heifer inventory. So a lot of people didn't think right now what the industry is doing was possible, but we're doing it.
Yeah, we just had a conversation on another topic about, I think, that the cows that will continue to breed back, like you said, the invisible cow, will be interesting because they're going to not only impact the future generations, but also if they continue to breed, they'll probably make a beef cross calf for, as long as they continue to breed, they're going to stay around for years to come. So,
Right.
be interesting.
Yeah, basically anything nowadays that can carry. I mean, once upon a time, if you think about it this way, years and years ago, you would never get rid of a pregnant cow, right? Like when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went through this whole phase of it really didn't matter because there were enough cows or whatever. And now we're back to no pregnant cows leave, because no matter what she has, it's going to be worth more than keeping her. Like you'll dry a cow off a month early if she's carrying almost whatever calf, because even that Holstein bull calf is worth $900, $1,000 now, and much less the 12 to 1400 that black calf is worth. And everybody has to put their own value on their heifer calves. If you're taking them to equity, they're worth less than the bull calves, but I think the future will prove out that they're worth more. So it's just everybody has to figure out values on their own.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I want to shift gears a little bit. We didn't talk a lot about where you're located and where the farm's at. And I think you're in a unique position. So you guys are not far from Lake Michigan, and you're really not far from population centers in the state of Wisconsin. I guess, what kind of challenges does that pose for the operation? And as far as you're right by a Great Lake, and you're in a rural area, but you're not too far from two major cities.
Yeah, what's fun about our area is it's really the best of all worlds. So we're in southern Manitowoc County here, between Lake Winnebago and Lake Michigan, and it's a great area to dairy in. So not only is there great infrastructure here, there is just a lot of really good dairymen. There's great dairies in this part of the world, and for whatever reason, we just seem to get good milk. And I think between the lakes, we're just a little bit cooler in the summer, so we have a little bit more digestibility in our forages, and maybe a little bit warmer in the winter. I mean, not a lot. It can get wintry here too, but we have those kind of advantages, and there's always just been a lot of processing, a lot of good things here on that front. So it's a good area, and generally it's a great area to live, because we have 5-star amenities that aren't far from us, yet we're rural enough that we really don't get bothered much when we farm, and we can make a Packer, Brewers, or Bucks game in an hour, and a Badger game in about 2. So there's lots of fun things to do, and I live Elkhart Lake, and that's Road America, so there's racing and whatever else goes on with Elkhart Lake. So yeah, it's a really fun area to have grown up in and dairy in, and yeah, I think somehow, even though we sit on this heavy ground, we farm red clay. And over the years, we've learned how to do it, and we normally can get good yields and be successful. But we have to be super patient. So sometimes I have some people in our team that'll say, "Why did our forefathers have to settle here?" But in a lot of reasons, it was a great spot to settle. So it all is good.
Yeah, I mean, you really are in a very dairy friendly area, and even we're the dairy state in Wisconsin, but that is, you're kind of in the perfect spot there.
Yeah, if you want to buy a bunch of land, it might not be the best area, but for most everything else, it's competitive.
That is very true. So with all of that, you mentioned a bit of the overview on the dairy. Can you tell us some of the efforts that allowed you to win the Sustainability Award in 2016?
Oh, well, at the time, that was an award that we just thought was an interesting opportunity because we've gotten, and we still have, we still are working on being good stewards of the land and being really good with reusing water as many times as we can. Water is a finite resource that needs management, and obviously on every dairy, all the water goes through the plate cooler. But after that, we were using that for cooling cows and for various things around the dairy, and also we were really fine tuning our land as to nutrients and getting the most done there. So with a fair amount of manure. Now, granted, we've added a lot of manure with the new dairy, but nutrients are a thing that need to be managed very closely and used even in season whenever that you can, because that's when manure nutrients are the most available. So we're always looking at ways that we can better use what we have to either cut costs or reduce trips to the field or whatever we can do.
So you mentioned the team. Can you tell us a bit of the structure of how how your team is built around the dairy and kind of the main areas of their responsibilities?
Well, I can. So we have, we have a few areas of the dairy everybody's got their specific roles every day, and some of us kind of float around a little bit based on need, where the biggest need is or what we're working at the time. But the nice thing is everybody pulls together because everybody understands the common goals, meaning that we need to take care of our facilities so that we don't have cow issues. We need to make high quality forages because it's hard to make a lot of production if we don't have good quality forages. Everybody kind of gets the gist of what it is that we do every day. It's a 24/7 business, and that always isn't so easy because you have to hire. When you're hiring people, they have to understand that weekends and holidays aren't always off. We do our best to rotate through that, if someone needs them off. But for the most part, we look for the kind of people that understand that the cows and what's going on sometimes at the farm need to come first. And that doesn't mean that we purposely try to work weekends or holidays if we don't have to, but sometimes there's no choice. When you have a window to make hay, when you're at silage, when it's planting season and it's go time, you just have to. There's just no getting around it.
So does that make hiring a challenge? I guess tell me about, and you guys are in a nice area as far as having opportunities to have a pool of potential employee candidates, but how does that work with hiring, or have you had a really good tenure of people that have stayed? on the farm?
We've got people. We've got people that have been here 20 years on our team, and those are always great. I mean, we're always trying to develop more of those, of course. But no, we have some great people, and always looking to find more of those great team members going forward. I mean, it's kind of like when you really expand your cow herd. You know that you're going to have a little bit of turnover in there because you were buying cows and wherever that you maybe didn't know everything about. That kind of is the same way with people. I'm not saying that we've had much. We've had a little bit of turnover while bringing in new people, because sometimes you just have to go through a few extra people to find the ones that are really on board with you. And we've done well. It hasn't been bad, but that's always a thing. And I would like to say that we haven't had any turnover, but most people in our business know that it happens. And for us, as long as our key people are good and happy, and we're full benefits, we pay well, everything like that. But it's just about fit and finding the right people, and we're always a step closer than we were yesterday. But that takes a little bit of time.
I always love watching on different social media channels, but things that people do on their farms with their employees. Is there anything that you guys do, to keep the culture of Siemers Holsteins? And
We give little gifts. We do little things here and there. We have cookouts. We do a few of those kinds of things. Just the kind of things that everybody can appreciate, and we can take time with our people to kind of say thank you and let them know that we care. I don't care if you're white, Hispanic, or what nationality you're from. Everybody likes to be appreciated and respected, and that's key no matter what.
do the team members, or do specific team members understand the value of some of the higher value cows, or do they, have an appreciation for that?
Oh yeah, we have guys. So we have one pen here on the dairy that we keep most of the higher value cows, or whatever it is that we're at least flushing, or some of those cows in, and everyone knows that in that pen, not that everything gets done any differently in there than the other pens, but everyone's aware that they're working with those cows. So and nowadays they're all worth a lot. That's the other thing
true.
to communicate in today's day and age. It doesn't matter if they're an index cow or a show cow or a commercial cow. Enhanced value is enhanced value, and there's a lot of them that have it nowadays. So that's just the world in which we live. Is cows have doubled in value in the last few years, and it's been a cool thing.
Yeah, that's great. So, we talked a bit about you being a fourth, fifth, and sixth generation running the farm. And now, if you're looking ahead or getting your crystal ball out, what does the next 10 years look like, and what do you hope for the future of the operation?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think person has to watch at what opportunities come their way to see what's going to make the most sense. I wouldn't rule out. We're in a consolidating industry. Things are moving quickly. I wouldn't rule out more growth. I wouldn't rule out bringing in more key people. Just because we have so much here to manage, and actually we kind of do it with a pretty lean ship. So I would say when it comes to specialization around a few different areas, I think we're going to specialize a little bit more. I think it's going to be interesting to see where it all goes. But I think as much has changed over the course of time that I've dairied. It's funny that we moved into this new site. We were going to build for 700 cows, expandable to 1,000, and that was our big dream once upon a time when we started building at this site. It's hard to imagine where that it might all go, but every day we're ready for opportunity. Every day we're looking and thinking about what could be or what we might be able to make things be, and I think as long as you can have that attitude and think about things like that and constantly look at new opportunities, new protocols, new people, new just ideas. I think that because there's more ways to grow than just get bigger. You can also always get better. You can always find things that are going to bring more dollars into your operation. And I think to be a successful operator of the future, you're just going to have to figure it out how to bring in more dollars, because today's dollars eventually aren't going to work if you're going to want to stay in the business.
I love that quote. There's more ways to grow than just get bigger. That's a really great quote. I think that was a good one.
I do know this. I'll throw this in there. Anybody considering a new digester site? I spent a lot of time in the last several years of my life meeting with, talking to, going over plans, figuring out digesters, and now we're putting in an aqua. We're doing nutrient separation past the digester. That side of the business is obviously another one that's going to change and be there for a lot of producers. So anybody has questions on that or wants to come and see what we did, I would be happy to help in that, just because I must have talked to at least 30 different digester companies over time here, and somehow I got super fortunate, but I picked the right one, and I have a really great partnership with the company that we're working with on ours, and I hear stories all the time about people that didn't choose wisely, or went with the first people that showed up and gave them the rosy promises. So rather than get into all of that here, I would just tell your producers, if you're looking at doing a digester set, or you're really thinking that that's your future, talk to producers that have been down the road, because there's just so much to learn. I mean, we started off our digester life with a company that we didn't end up with, and they ran out of money, and then we were funding the project, but I couldn't build a dairy and the digester all at the same time. So I had to find a new partner, and I was very fortunate to be able to do that. So, I mean, just in general, it's not an easy business, but like, I live in Wisconsin. One of the things about my county is I live in an odor score county. I live in a county that has state livestock siting. And many years ago, some very smart people came up with a plan on how to site dairies, and my county adopted those rules. And it's not always easy, but it's really good for our neighborhood and for all the CAFOs. Manitowoc County does have more CAFOs in it than any other county in Wisconsin. There are a lot of large farms here in Manitowoc County. So, but back to the other part of it, the digester part. If you need to have a digester if you're going to have a larger dairy here, as things are working out in an odor score county or a state livestock siting county. So as that evolves, more and more people are going to want them, and it can either be a huge loss center or a huge profit center for you, depending upon either how it's set up or who you work with.
So do your homework, and do a lot of homework is what I'm hearing you say.
I'll tell you, that was trying to find a developer that was going to, I mean, we all want to work with people in this world that do what they say and say what they do. And it's like, there for a while, it was like snake oil salesmen. Everybody was starting a digester company, and everybody had a great way that they were going to pay you. But it just seemed like over time, there's only a couple of those companies that have really worked out or have come through and have built projects that are making gas and are making money. So I know for some of the people that are listening to this might be TMI, too much information, because they're like, we're never going to build a digester. But if you find yourself in that position, you need to get educated and in a hurry, because the differences they're vast.
I'll put a shameless plug in for our sister publication, Journal of Nutrient Management, because, I mean, it's really, if you think about it, you're managing just nutrients, and that's not unique to the dairy industry. Then it crosses over to, all the CAFO units.
Yeah, we read that magazine every month. There's always good content in there. So
yeah, that's almost an entire. I'm assuming you have a team dedicated to, everything about manure.
we have some people that are on that. We probably need to hire a few more people as we before we're finished here with it, especially with our nutrient separation systems. But yeah, it's we're once again needing to specialize and get better in areas, just because that's what you have to continually do.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try.
That's great. No, that's great. Well, I guess we'll wrap up here. So, your herd has so many accolades, and you don't appear to be slowing down on reaching new goals. And as you said, it's not always bigger to get better. And we wish you all the best to the Siemers Holstein team. So, Dan, we appreciate you sharing more about your operation, your views on genetics, as we talked about manure, nutrient management, sustainability, and a look into the future. So we really, really thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Kylene, and the same to the Hoard's crew. I would say the Hoard's Dairyman crew for generations has done nothing but to try to move the dairy industry forward. You guys have been a great help to those of us that are in the business as well. So my hat's off to you also.
Well, thank you. So to all of our listeners, you've been listening to Dan Siemers of Siemers Holsteins. And if you want to be the first to catch this conversation, make sure you're following us on YouTube or your favorite podcast player so you don't miss a beat, especially as we dig into deeper issues shaping the industry. And if this episode added value for you, be sure to send it to someone who'd appreciate it too.
This podcast is sponsored by Select Sires.
A healthy herd drives profitability. Select Sire's Herd Health Profit Dollars Index is the most comprehensive and measurable economic index in the industry. Created for farmers by farmers, HHP prioritizes the traits that make the greatest impact, boost mastitis resistance, lower the incidence of other health challenges, and breed long-lasting cows that improve cash flow. To learn more, visit selectsires.com/longevity. At Select Sires, your success is our passion.
Thank you for listening to the Hoard's Dairyman podcast. Follow us on your favorite podcast app, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.